All right, and welcome back. Today we're going to solve one-step equations by using multiplication or division, okay? So I've made two other videos. The first video, one of the videos is about solving one-step equations with adding and subtracting, and then the next video after that was solving not really, they look like one-step equations, but there's a negative variable, and we solve that by adding or subtracting as well. So that was pretty much, the second video is like an extension of the first one. But either way, we're going to go ahead and jump into this. So first, I want to rewrite it to say 4a equals negative 24. Now, 4a really means 4 times a. So whenever we solve equations, we're always undoing. To undo multiplication, we have to divide. So I want to show that I'm dividing both sides by 4 because that's what a was multiplied by. A was multiplied by 4. So to undo it, we have to divide by 4. By dividing by 4, the 4's cancel out because 4 divided by 4 is 1, and that leaves us just with a. And then we have to do a negative divided by a positive. Now, for those who may not remember, I like to draw a tic-tac-toe board. I put all my positives down the diagonal, and everywhere else we're going to put a negative. And I can use this every time. So since I'm doing a negative divided by a positive, I want to look at this row right here. That says a negative divided by a positive is a negative. So my final answer would be negative 6 because 24 divided by 4 is 6. And a negative divided by a positive is a negative. Okay. So now that we have that, I'm going to continue to use this chart anytime I need it. I'm just going to move it for myself. I'll move it right here. So that way if I need it, I can use it again. Let's take a look at number 8. I want to rewrite number 8. That's going to say negative 56 is equal to negative 7p. But negative 7p is really negative 7 times p. So to undo multiplication, we divide. I'm going to divide by what p was multiplied by. P was multiplied by negative 7, so I'm going to divide by negative 7. When I do that, the negative 7's cancel out, and I'm left with p. Now I'm doing a negative divided by a negative, which means I want to look at this part right here, this last row. That says a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So I know my answer is going to be positive. 56 divided by 7 is 8. So my answer would be positive 8. All right. So let's take a look at number 9. Now, number 9 reads n divided by 5 equals 9. And let me move that over just a little bit. There we go. So once again, I want to draw my line down the middle. Now with division, to undo division or the inverse of division is multiplication. So because n is being divided by 5, I want to show that I'm multiplying both sides by 5. When I do that, the 5's cancel out, and then I'm left with n equals positive times a positive is a positive. That makes 45. So n is equal to 45. Next, number 10. Let's rewrite it. 2 is equal to r divided by negative 8. Well, there's two sides to the equation. We're going to start on the right side where the variable is. It's being divided by negative 8. So to undo dividing by negative 8, I want to multiply by negative 8. By doing that, the negative 8's cancel out, and we're left with just r. And then we take a look. A negative times a positive. Well, a negative times a positive is a negative. So I know 8 times 2 would be 16, which makes that a negative 16. Okay? All right. Let's take a look at number 11. Number 11, whenever a variable is negative and it's written by itself, we're going to put a 1 in front of it. So when I rewrite this, I'm going to write negative 1k equals positive 7. Anytime a variable is by itself, I can put a 1 in front of it. Honestly, even when I was doing these other problems, like number 10, I could put 1R. For number 9, I could put 1N. If I go back up here, well, the other variables for 7 and 8 already had a number in front of it. Like this one had a 4 in front of it. That was 4A. This one over here had a 7, negative 7P, okay? But anytime a variable is by itself, we're allowed to put 1 in front of it. So getting back to number 11, I rewrote it to say negative 1K equals 7. Now, it's really negative 1 times K. So to undo multiplication, we want to divide. And I want to divide both sides by negative 1. When I do that, the negatives cancel out, and I'm left with K. And now I'm taking a look at a positive divided by a negative. Well, I would be looking at this first row. A positive divided by a negative is a negative. So I know my answer is going to be negative 7. Final answer. And as you can see, always circle your final answers. Let's take a look at the last question for this example, for these examples. Rewrite it. X divided by negative 6 equals negative 12. And if you haven't noticed, when I rewrite the problems, I also read it as well. I don't just rewrite it without saying what I'm rewriting. And if you also pay attention, when I write the fraction like this, I don't say x over negative 6. I say x divided by negative 6. Saying the operation reinforces what I'm going to have to undo or find the inverse of. Because if I say divided by, I know the opposite of dividing by is multiplying by. So for this one, since x is being divided by negative 6, I want to multiply by negative 6 on both sides. And actually, I'm going to rewrite this to give myself some space. So let me move this over. All right, so now that I've done that, I can go ahead and show that I'm multiplying both sides by negative 6. And when I multiply by the negative 6, the 6's cancel out. This becomes x equals, now I'm doing a negative times a negative, which is right here on the bottom. Negative times a negative is a positive. So, and 12 times 6 is 72. So our final answer here would be x equals 72, positive 72. All right, have a good day.